Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We are on our quest for sensorality. We've constructed a word, it represents all sensation. Why do we filter things based on sensation? That's what sensorality is. We are iterating that concept until we find the stabilizing theorem. What is a stabilizing theorem? All words are connected. Sensorality, you've never heard anyone say that word before, but you've heard some form of that word which connects to another word, and then we will axiomatize the next word. Construct a complete general framework. Well, really the derivation of sensorality will give us that generalized framework, and then we will derive what that generalized framework means, build that back up, so on and so forth. And so stabilizing solidifies. And so now we're kind of getting, again, remember, alliteration exists. Anything that rhymes or is alliterative is linguistically and logically similar. And so language differentiates. And so now that it's hard to, again, for me to formalize if I'm on the constructing or deconstructing aspect of this proof. You derive it down to the base, you build the base back up, and I'm flip-flopping between those two sections. What I do to one side of the equation, so to speak, I'm doing to the other. So we're iterating these words and to get them into the right form, have the right prefix, suffix, base word as the center, something, to a single unique theorem. And so when we're getting at whatever aspect of this proof we're encountering a lot of alliteration. Am I breaking down that alliteration or am I building it up? Not sure. Because like I said, at the end of these proofs, you just don't feel like you know anything, specifically to the synesthesia part. Like words have feelings. Like every single word has a feeling. There's this big, vibrant world out there, I guess. But when you're truly at the frontier of ontology for the whole species, there's no feelings because you have no reference points. So it's like you know nothing. It truly feels like you know nothing. But picking up with our derivation, a lot of theorems today. Stabilizing solidifies. Sensorality is establishment. A facility is an establishment. Stabilize, finalize. So that initial one, and I don't know if you can see, but it's just, there's indentation on some of them, like some theorems are derived from other theorems. It really doesn't matter. All that matters is me arriving at this final reduced form of this theorem, and then all of that logic will be self-contained. But I'm here showing you the steps. Sensorality externalizes, right? Life expresses how it feels. I'm sitting here telling you my rights are violated, here's science, please give me money. And the answer is go fuck yourself. Cool beans. Integration internalizes. Internal is private, external is public. Now in reality, public and private don't really exist, but again, we're differentiating our words. Language is very apparent. It's like horseshoes and hand grenades. If you just get close enough, people are going to understand what you mean. If you're in a situation that is urgent, you're not going to sit there and give out a lecture. You're going to blurt out operative words. Help here now, go fast, vamos, run, stuff like that. And so but we're connecting these sensorality, we're pairing it up to two other things. So we have this fundamental stability of two, sensorality is based on two other things, so we're again deriving what the base words that combine to produce sensorality was. Eternality is permanent, right? If it's eternal, it's permanent. Is anything actually permanent? No. Permanence is forever, right? But now we have a very clear, undeniable logical connection, but it's a very clearly an amalgamated word. Remember way back when, 2 months ago, or whatever, but right, for and ever are very clearly just an amalgamated word, and it means eternally. Sensorality is foreverality, right? Speciality, life. Your desire to be sexually antagonized is bounded to life, right? Dead people don't reproduce. And so now we've packaged that up into a linguistical form. Foreverality, amalgamated word plus suffix. But it preserves the logic. And it's true, right? Life will continue on without you, without me, without whoever's watching this. And so life in general is forever, but not your life, not my specific life, so on and so forth. Foreverality, we take out and now we subtract, because again, that's an amalgamated word. And now, again, I can't formalize some of this aspect of syllability, this iteration function, but now we can clearly see, forever completes a an amalgamated word, but we can subtract or from forever, and then we get fever. And so now we have sensorality is feverality, which is still, again, consistent to our definition. And again, like I said, I'm demonstrating you that it's already consistent because words already have meaning. But fever, right? My pool table is not going to have a fever. It's not going to get sick. It's not going to, again, have a fever. So sensorality is feverality. What is sortality, right? Sort. That's our base word. We know what sorting is. Sorting is another word of filtration. So it's very clear that it's related to sensorality, sortality, right? But now, is that sort with ality at the end, or is it sorta with L-I-T-Y at the end, right? So we've showed you, right, sorta is this linguistical element, a word and expression that people say, sort with an A. So that's sorta with an L, or with a L-I-T-Y, not sort with an A-L-I-T-Y. And now I don't know how to formalize it, but think of one of those desk toys. You go into an executive's desk and it's a pendulum, and you drop a ball, it swings, it hits this ball, hits the other one, and it goes back and forth. The balls in the middle don't move, but the ones on the end do. That's kind of what's happening with these letters. Like, it goes from one side to the other, boop, 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 but they're discrete. So it's like making this complete jump. And so we just showed that with sorta, L-I-T-Y, not sort, A-L-I-T-Y. Sensality, sortality. Sensing sorts, but sorting doesn't sense. Now we have our one-way logical thing, right? If all of your sensation is sorting information that's coming in, true. But if you're sorting something, it doesn't mean you're sensing something, right? Again, that's the difference between sensorality with a C and sensorality with an S. If I drop a quarter into a machine and it knows it's a quarter, not a nickel, dime, or penny, it's because it has some sort of mechanical filtration. And so sorting, that's sorting, but it doesn't have sensation. It's not sentient. That's all I said right there. Sensorality sorts, sorting does not sense. So sensorality with a C sorts. So now again, this is where we're getting to the nitty-gritty of iterating the letters. And so sensorality with a C sorts, spelled with an S as it's normally spelled. But I just walked you through what I just said logically. It's just dropping a quarter in a machine and it knowing it's not a nickel. Speciality, senses. Senses are special, right? There's more mass in the universe that doesn't have sentience, or that is not used in a sentient being. Dust in a space cloud, a galaxy without life. That's all mass, but it's not sentient. So sentience is special. Speciality, concerns. Concern, certain. Speciality is certain, sensorality is not. Certain is sure. You're invincible, you know everything you're talking about when you're 14, 15, 16, and then you get to be 16, you're like, nope, definitely didn't. That's what I said there. Vocalization limits hypocrisy. When you literally say something out loud, if you say something stupid, it's more undeniable if you literally vocalize it. That is a physical limit. Vocalization, visualization. Vocalize, visualize. So again, we said there's a distinct difference between touch, which is contact, but everything is very specific. We're now bringing back we went out on this big expedition, this journey, linguistically, iterating all of these words. And we said, vision is different than touch. But then we said this big overarching, our first principle is nothing is touching. And so now we're connecting that logic word by word, syllable by syllable. And so everything is connected, nothing is touching. What is touch? But touch is contact. And so here's the thing, let's do a thought experiment. If per se, that nothing was touching, you might have profound historical evidence of that. Like the Sistine Chapel might exist, right? He's up on the ceiling and God's right there, not touching Adam, right? When you're a little kid and you're going up to your brother or your sister and saying, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. That's the historical evidence that everything is connected, nothing is touching. And now we're iterating that specific limit of what exactly touch is and contact is. But what's the difference between vocalization and visualization? Right? Vocalization is the opposite of hearing. Right? You hear things that are vocalized. Or you hear sound. Again, this isn't the final answer, but and definitely poignant limits. Vocalization limits hypocrisy. There's some very clear things, difference between hearing and vision, but see how that's like input and vocalization's output. So that didn't even like something again, breaking down all of your biological processes. But actually, but the point is we have a linguistical form, vocalize and visualize, very, very similar. It's just that those internal letters of OC and vocalize and ISU and visualize. Again, doing complete iterations of all this logic. And so, but then we have, vocalization output, and then input is hearing, and then vision is fundamentally different. Is emotion a sensation? Emotion is sensational. So yes. Right? But the pool table doesn't have an emotion because it doesn't have sensation. Emotions are proportional to sensations. Right? You feel happy and sad and elated and content and melancholy at different times, right? Connection, contact, and touch. And so now getting to what I just said, those three words are the operative words when I'm like, what's going on? What's the difference between touch and contact and connection? I'll just let those sit. Homework assignment. You tell me. Sensorality expedites. And that's what I call, you'll see it in my emails, I call it a theorem overload. It's just when a bunch of logic hits me all at once and I tell you I have this stream of information and you get a whole big chunk comes down. But I'll just list some theorems. All of them are, the logic is self-contained. Efficiency expedites. What is an expedition? Expedition, exhibition. What is perdition? Perdition being like eternal damnation. Perdition is damnation. Right now, so we define or derived what damning is. D-A-M-N-I-N-G. Speciality, dams. Dam, dam. Like now take off that N. Right? A dam is a sensor with a C, literally. A dam concentrates. Damming is blocking. Sensorality impedes. Sensorality is impedance. Physical definition. Impedance, impotence. Speciality is impotent. Speciality is impotence. Sensorality is potency. And so we take that, we go from impotent, and then there's another, again, some sort of logical relationship to linguistics, the letters, of going from something that ends in a T, like potent, to potency. Right? You take away, you take away that T, potency. So something's happening there. Potency is concentration. Sensorality concentrates. Attention concentrates. Tension central. The two base words from that theorem. Speciality entertains. Entertainment is sensational. And so, again, that was just a theorem overload. Again, but that's just what I call it. But I really wanted to show you that sorta, that changing. Again, it's just some of these parts I can't formalize. If it's important enough for me to write it down, because I have a whole nother derivation book where I just list the same stuff, it just doesn't strike me as like when you're making a YouTube video and it's like you draft stuff and it's like this is the important stuff. It's like to me derivation's all the same level of important, but it's just like this is novel enough and I can sense the novelty where it's like I should make a video about it, I guess. And then again, I'm just making YouTube videos a couple times a day, so I can always just talk about more theorems. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Hopefully we arrive soon, but done saying it. The answer will present itself when it does. Thank you for watching. Please pay me. I am being tortured. See you on the next one.